is the governor's house and which house is the mayor's house, because I guarantee there's a mayor of Sarville as well.
Internally, Roscoe's like, have we seen them in the same room before?
Can I, if we're just sort of futzing around now, so I know we have just enough room for there to be just enough beds. Is it like there's like one bedroom situation?
No,
or is it separate?
I think that there are, there's not individual rooms, but there's like, I'll say like 3 different bedrooms. So a couple people are doubling up. Probably, I would think. I guess Asta and Agatha, and then Silas gets their own room.
That is in no way how Zed would have set it up if Zed was in charge of this. But he would leave Roscoe to be in charge of these kind of decisions on his family ship.
Okay. However you guys would divide those up. 5 beds, 3 rooms.
5 beds, 3 rooms.
Everyone has a bed, but there's a section where there's like one of those like you see in like RV campers, which like the chair and then the table, then the other chair, where the table can kind of move out and it's supposed to make like a bit more of like a little bit of an area, but still way too short to be an actual bed. If there's ever like a fade to everyone sleeping in that space, Roscoe is sitting there leaning with like a towel over his eyes, snoring with his feet on the table.
Okay. That solves that problem slightly. Somebody's dad sleeping in the RV.
Yep.
Although surely somebody has to be flying this at all times.
Yeah, so you just trade off as well, in that respect.
Oh, Charlie, Asta's going to teach Silas how to fly. I don't know why it came down that way.
Perfect.
But that
Excellent.
was what Maddie said.
All right, so we'll adjust the end of that scene where we were leaving to Silas was there for like the takeoff, like studying very closely behind Asta and asking like before the takeoff if she would model what was going to happen to him in that like 30-minute window.
Yeah, she'll go through kind of explaining all the little various things. She kind of will tell you like once it's in the air, it's actually pretty easy to pilot. But she'll kind of run through all the various like takeoff things that they're doing. And she says she'll show you it for like an hour or so, have you take over, and then like, you know, show you how to keep the bearing, and let you kind of just like observe for the next few hours. Make sure that you're like, you know, probably going back and forth every time you have like a question. There's some things, but it is not that difficult. It is again, if you're just kind of like staying on course, it is about as simple as like steering a boat, rather than flying a plane.
Yeah, like good weather, fine. Right?
Yeah, it is doing any kind of maneuvering and taking off and landing that is the hard part. Much harder than like bringing a boat into dock.
Yeah, Silas does not take any notes whatsoever as he learns, but does just like echo every motion, and is like just occasionally like when we're in like the mess or whatever, you'll just like see Silas just piloting an invisible airship through the takeoff and landing procedures, just like as he's like taking a sandwich, he'll like pause and he'll like do a few pieces of the motions, etc. And sometimes he'll be just muttering to himself. It's a very like constant sort of reinforcement thing that he does throughout the flight when he's not actually flying.
Yeah, so nothing new, you know, just constant muttering to himself.
Yes, exactly. But now with
Weird old man. Love that old man.
As you fly, you kind of go across a wide variety of terrains. As you sort of skirt over and around mountains in order to head down south, getting out of the Odelheim region. And it sort of opens up into at first forests that give way to kind of like wide, broad grasslands and plains. Good farmland, decent amount of peoples. There were a variety of different kingdoms in this area, kingdoms like republics, etc. At one point in time, now kind of all subsumed into imperial territory. Eventually, that starts to give way to a drier climate. This is about on the third day when you start to get close to arriving. It's not like fully desert, but it is. It has that arid kind of vibe of like parts of California, or even like North Africa, where it is not full desert yet, but it is definitely getting to be less moist. Still like pretty flat, just lots of rocky outcroppings here and there. Just before I move on, was there anything anybody wanted to do in those 3 days other than just kind of
I'm
be on the ship?
as Zed does every time he travels, he's re-sewing his whole coat to look almost exactly the same, but like 5% more appropriate for this part of the Empire.
Roscoe would only do one thing impossible to note, really, aside from just being in the airship and everything. I feel like out of the two espers that they've encountered, he's more curious about Ifrit than the other one, mostly due to the rage, the way it fought. It kind of connected a bit more with like Roscoe's like, oh, okay, I can kind of like relate to this one a little bit more. So I think he at one point while on the ship, while kind of like thinking about that, will for the first time like try to actually see if he can feel that, because also last time they did this all together, they learned they could apparently summon these things. So just curious.
Go ahead and make me a wisdom check, and I'll tell you just like above board. It is much easier because you have two espers to do these things now.
Okay. Wisdom, Roscoe's best stat. 10.
Black 10. For you, it's specifically because Roscoe and Ifrit, this is a lot easier. After a moment, there is, again, Charlie, you weren't here for this, but there was, you now have the, again, and these aren't like permanently visible, but you have the Sylph sprite on the back of your hand, and now going up your arm, same arm, these like swirling flames motif with like kind of like jaws almost like biting out, just like up the forearm, not the whole arm.
We all have sick matching tats.
Yes, but again, they're not visible most of the time. Only when you're like doing something with Esper, or in fights and whatnot. And this is true for Roscoe, even though you have the Magitech arms. That they're more like etchings on your arm, but they still glow just the same. Your forearm starts to glow. Just the forearm. There's like a weak pulse from the hand as well. But you can feel like the presence, this hot, like wrathful feeling wells up inside you. What did you want to ask it for?
I think actually kind of surprised at first that seemingly there's like a connection because I don't think Roscoe fully expected this to actually work. Not that he doesn't trust Silas or any of the people I've managed to talk to in Esper, but it's like, I ain't done it, so it's whatever. There's like a pause, but after that, how long were you in that place?
There's like a flare up of anger that you kind of have to. It's almost like you've gotten, you're like you were saying, by a fire which was warm, and then like something happened, like the log shifted or whatever, and it like sparked up in your face, and you like felt the heat before it like returned to how it was. It says time as humans see it is difficult. Perhaps a year.
Well, thank you for helping us take care of the facility at the end. I imagine it was a mutual want based on how you went about it. The things we're going to be doing, it seems, are going to only get more dangerous. We're going to need help like that, if you can offer it.
As long as you continue to prove yourself, warrior, find my aid accessible.
Oh, easy then. I think aside from that, Roscoe, for as long as the connection is or whatever, would just kind of like, I think he just lets that like hot, fiery kind of feeling linger, in a way, because I feel like it reminds him a little bit of how like he feels whenever he enters his trance and stuff, and we'll just kind of sit with that for a bit until it
And
dissipates.
you feel like there is like a bit of power there that you can reach out and like draw upon. That isn't bringing Ifrit out fully per se, in the way that happened when all of you were sort of in sync in that moment. But you could sort of draw on some of that power. And when this is happening, I think all of you can kind of like have a sense of something in the back of your mind, but Agatha, you in particular, like your forearm fiery tattoo also begins to glow while Roscoe is doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Is this something that I inherently feel like, oh, I feel like I can maybe draw on something here? Probably don't do it in the flying airship.
You don't think it would be like airship destroying, but maybe not the best idea. It definitely feels like something to be used in combat.
Yeah,
maybe something you should test on the ground.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
I think at some point, go ahead.
As sort of, I picture this happening while Agatha is setting up like a private, even though her room is presumably a little bit private already, like very specifically has been like setting up a very like, you can't see me when I'm in this corner, and has like moved the beds around.
Sure.
And has like sprawled out a bunch of her notes that she has been taking. There are like spray paint cans that are always like tumbling out of her bag, and then also like this nice calligraphy kit that she has like pulled out and was starting to like, I think, draft out like some sort of like forged school excuse that she wasn't thinking through about how to get postmarked. But it was like, I probably need to do this, right? And shifts gears as like the tattoos are starting to like, she feels that. And like the paper is already in front of her. She has her nice pens out. And I do think she wants to like sketch out what the design looks like while she can like visibly see it.
Okay. Yeah, that's totally something I think. How good is Agatha at drawing? I forget. Did you take a thing for those?
I took a forgery proficiency.
Sure. Make a dexterity check, and this is only because this effect doesn't last that long. It's so you don't have like infinite amount of time to like sketch it out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You get started. It's a very intricate, like swirling pattern. So you get like the broad strokes, but you're like, it starts to fade after a few minutes, and you're like, shit, like I didn't get like a good. I didn't have enough time to like really get it started. So you have like the beginnings of the outline of it, but not most of the details. You could try to maybe reach out to this entity to make it start glowing again.
Yeah, shit, I'll do that.
Okay, good. Make a wisdom check. Oh yeah. It's like immediate, and it lights back up, and it's like burning, and you just like probably immediately start drawing again. And you hear the voice in your head, and it says, I think again, like the anger is there. It says, the haughty one. I see. What need have you of me?
Sorry, I didn't mean to bother you, I guess. What did you call me?
You are the haughty one, yes? The one who is arrogant and taunting.
Okay, I wanted to clarify that you were insulting me before I said something crazy.
It is not such an insult, but if you wish to take it that way, be my guest.
Okay, I guess if I'm being polite, what did you mean it as?
Some may act superior and are deserving of being so. They may taunt others. This is their right as more powerful combatants.
Okay. Sure. And where do you sort of like sit yourself in this assessment of like who deserves to be arrogant and haughty and taunting?
Well, of course I sit near the top.
Sure.
You bore witness to my power, although the group of
Yeah.
you defeated me together, and I can respect that strength.
I was about to say that's big talk from somebody that we both rescued and then beat the shit out of. But what do I know?
Yes. Like the anger like smolders down to a low rage. Says, my great shame. People with their machineries trapping me there.
Sorry, I shouldn't have given you a hard time about that. That's like the whole modus operandi of the Empire. They're doing it not just to like powerful individuals, but to whole cities, countries. And they got a lot of shit, and they got a lot of smart people, and they got a lot of money.
Yes.
So
They are rulers, leaders who do not seek to impress upon others their own strength, but rather to use the strength of others to rule. But
Do you mind if this might be a personal question, but how did they get you to begin with?
kind of, you can see he like pauses for a moment and gets like frustrated, and will say, "You're just difficult to explain. Creatures such as I are often strongly tied to a place. Objects, in particular, stashes of etherite, as you call it, the heavenly crystal. If one has the proper equipment, it's possible to draw me out, and from there, with their magitech, contain my spirit. It is not dissimilar to what we do now, though this is more of a willing contract. A bond.
Does it hurt to be away from home?
A part of me rests within the crystals still. It is not my whole strength that travels with you, save when the five of you are united in purpose.
Hopefully, if we do our job right, we'll be able to take you back, like, more fully. And we won't have to deal with this shit again. Till the
Indeed.
next time.
Should you have need of me, feel free to call upon my powers.
And
Help you smite your enemies.
that's good. I've sure. I don't know, fire is the whole thing that I've got going on. I'm trying to do this like more dark and like edgy thing. But like fire's cool. It's pretty cool.
It leaves behind dark and smoldering ruins when used correctly. Though, it can also be used to temper.
Okay. Well, this was a good talk. I guess if you ever want to talk again, I feel like we're reaching out a lot to y'all. If you want to talk again, you can also, I don't know, do your thing, presumably. How does that work?
Perhaps I shall prompt you. It is more difficult for us to reach out. As you grow in power, should you bond with further espers, it becomes more easy for the bond to reach out in this way.
You know where like there are others that need our help? Is that like a connection that you can feel?
Perhaps if you were close to one, I could help you, but not at such great distances. I do know that the goddess of ice sits high in her mountain home. The creature of the great seas lies far off near the islands to the far east of here. And then there's, of course, the Lord of Lightning, much farther to the south. Their domains,
Agatha,
their domains
as like
are
he is
reflective
describing this,
of their spirits.
Agatha has like opened up another page in her notebook and is like furiously taking notes on it. Because she is a nerd at heart, unfortunately.
There may be others lesser and greater that I have less knowledge of.
Well, I have a hard time believing, and this is said with like a lot of sarcasm, I have a hard time believing that there are any of them that have greater power than you. as you have proclaimed yourself.
Indeed.
Do we still call you Ifrit? Was that like, do you have something else that we could call you, or is that like your preferred name?
From you, yes. It's
Good talk.
You do have enough time, I will say, also to sketch out the tattoo or the arm symbol.
Cool. And then I think as she does it, she goes, "Good talk. This is pretty sick, by the way. My dad's gonna be pissed if he ever sees it."
Well,
So
good.
sorry.
Yes.
So there was an itch at the back of everybody's head when Roscoe was talking to Ifrit, and then that stopped. And almost immediately after, the itch came back
Yeah.
in that like Esper space, where Zed recently took like 16 damage from.
Yeah.
And like from the second one, for the first one, he's like, I don't know, Silas is experimenting, Agatha's experimenting, whatever. And the second time it happens, Roscoe, you see Zed just like barrel out of the door that he's in, presuming you're sitting on your fold out, not big enough couch bed. And Zed is like, why is my head itching?
Did you not dust out your pillow?
I'm gonna make an insight check.
At a much slower pace, Silas is going to come for the same question of like holding out his arm, which he immediately noticed lighting up since he was doing his exercises. Aston and I noticed the Esper's active.
No, I spoke with Ifrit briefly.
I think Zed looks at Silas. Works like process of eliminations, the two people that could be responsible for this, and says, maybe I might be talking something crazy here, but don't talk to the angry fire creature when we're on a wooden ship in the sky.
Hey, the conversation was very amicable. The word comes out a bit like he has to word it out for a second. But
I've seen you have
Wise.
amicable conversations with people that ended with a broken nose.
I simply said that the help at the facility was appreciated, and given what we seem to be finding ourselves in, the shit, that it will probably be useful later on, and was simply told if we keep proving ourselves that it will be. To which I said, well, that's easy enough done, because, you know. But after that also, it felt like I could probably draw some type of power from that, and I didn't do it, because I'm on a flying wooden ship.
At that, Silas turns on his heel like a full pivot and is like basically in the entryway to Miss Locke's bunker room. Like I closed immediately.
Agatha was like about to also like exit out and was in the process of shouting, "Orion, do you still have those maps?"
Yeah, so we nearly collide into each other, and Silas is saying at that moment, "Miss Locke, please do not antagonize the." Pardon?
Antagonize? I would never, and I'm a little insulted that you think that lowly of me. So I was talking to Ifrit.
At the words of that to Zed, Roscoe does this. Like,
Silas is just sighing like a deep sigh of relief, and like walks with you back to this main conversation and says, "And and of course I wouldn't think so lowly of you as to think that you would practice any skills that Ifrit suggested are available to you. Maps."
I mean, we kind of just talked. So, just sort of like about maybe our feelings. It was a little weird. But he also gave me some information about like where he knows there are other espers, not like pinpoint, no coordinates or whatever, but like vague regions. And Agatha starts to like, to point out, yeah, there's probably this ice one that's up that he referred to as the goddess of ice, and that's in this area. And there's a creature in the sea, which is off near these islands. And circles those in like big red ink on whatever map is presented to her.
You do come back to the conversation with Zed and Roscoe, with Zed saying, "You're right, Roscoe, and I apologize." Also, Zed will offer his map until you take out red ink to draw on his map, and then it's like, "Don't do that. Surely we can find there are other maps, and also I don't want you to draw on my map."
Okay, do you have string and like pins? I can do conspiracy board style if that's more your aesthetic.
I have the ability to remember locations. You said this mountain range, and like do I know the mountain range that Agatha has? I guess firstly, does Agatha just know the mountain range based on it being an icy one?
Well, make me intelligence checks. Probably history. Make me history checks. You both can.
I was about to ask if it could be a history.
Is this open to everybody?
The extent to which the dice hate Zed is pretty high.
I think Silas reaches into his bag and he has
Roscoe. Oh, I forgot Roscoe does have history.
I have history proficiency.
He does have overhead laminate sheets that he passes you for your map labeling.
Of course.
Perfect.
Thank you, Silas.
I did not anticipate these becoming useful and was considering leaving them on our last stop.
Okay. So sorry, Zed. Agatha and Roscoe. I think Roscoe partially knows this because it is closer to Odelheim. Agatha knows this just because they are quite smart. But Zed is maybe like thinking like, oh well, it could be like all of these different locations. Like it is maybe like not going for the obvious. So Agatha and Roscoe, you both know that at the like extreme north of the continent, and also like the northernmost edges of the empire, there are people who live on the coasts there, but there is a bundle of mountain ranges. It's not quite on the opposite side of the mountain chain from the Fields of Fire, but it is quite separated a bit. There are these particularly large Everest-like mountains, which are permanently snowed over, frozen like year-round. There's a plain or like a plateau within that mountain range that where there's these kind of ice plains. It's like, again, snow, ice, etc. But there are still plants that grow there. There are these very particular kind of plants that are like highly adapted, highly suited to that area. There's also sort of like the Fields of Fire, a lot of monsters that show up there. Some of them like very heavily like ice elemental in character. Others taking on like bird bestial appearances. Some, like white wolves, abominable snowmen, those kinds of things. That's probably what that is referring to. You would think.
Have a name or even like a colloquial name?
I just said, what was it? The Plains of Ice.
Oh, okay.
The mountain range itself is very large.
I think more to himself, Roscoe is just like, oh, fields of fire, plains of ice. I guess we should have thought about that.
They're the
Yeah, I mean,
they're the Adernian Mountains, and this mountain range stretches like way down, almost to Solus, and then all the way like far up to the north.
great. If you are, as Roscoe is muttering to himself, Agatha contributes. What are the other? Do you know if there are any other like notable areas of specifically like elemental monsters appearing places?
Yes, have you heard of the seas of water?
This is the one where yes, the water one in particular is like, okay, so probably you're looking at going like across the ocean. There's these massive island chains, non-imperial territory, so in that sense maybe easier for you guys, but that could be a number of different areas, and your 1817 do not give you further insight beyond what is like obvious from what Ifrit said, is that it's across the sea to the east. As far as the Mountain of Lightning, he said it was to the south. There's two different mountain ranges there. This is again less familiar territory to either of you. Agatha, I will say with your 18, you've heard stories of the like this area, and you're like struggling to remember exactly what the name is or anything like that, but it's this area where they say like some people will go there to like watch the lightning like hit the towers, quote unquote. These like pillars of stone that seem to act almost like lightning rods. And it is sort of this interesting, strange landmark. But you don't know a lot about it other than that.
So, I mean, maybe reasonably what we do is we've got a pretty good read on this being the location of the next Esper. As we collect more, it's going to be easier to talk to these guys. They're going to get stronger. Maybe that'll strengthen the connections they have with each other, and we'll be able to figure out where to go from there.
Did Ifrit say that that's where they are now? Or where they were?
That was when I asked if he knew where others were located. He talked about them being connected to places and objects where there's a lot of aetheryte, and we've got pretty good context clues to suggest that that's also where the Empire has been keeping them trapped to best try to leverage that power. So I can follow up and clarify if it's very explicitly were or are, but my instinct is that that's where they are. Present tense.
Did Ifrit say anything about their temperament?
That he could beat the shit out of them is probably what he would say to that.
Few add it to your list of inquiries. It just seems that it might be better to interact with the espers that are more amenable to our support first, and then help the ones that might react to us like Ifrit.
We are nearly at our destination. We can go over the research that you acquired from the facility, and perhaps that will tell us what state we will find this goddess of ice or Lord of Lightning, and perhaps even the location of any facilities they're being kept in. It is, I suppose, possible that these espers are not yet contained by the Empire.
We're in the process of being contained.
Yes. But I think it's better we go over that research first, and then we can head towards the Edonian Mountains and the Plains of Ice. Seems as good
Roscoe.
as any.
Roscoe looks down at his clothing choice, which is all sleeveless. Ugh.
You're friends with a demigod of fire. I suspect the cold won't bother you that much.
Cold never bothered me anyway.
I'd like to reciprocating portal underneath where Roscoe's sitting, and then I'd like the ship to move and Roscoe to die.
This entire time, Silas has just been, practicing like a single series of movements, and he stops briefly, frowns, I think flashing back to like teaching a series of children who had gotten that from a storybook of some sort, and then just turns to the rest of them and continues a conversation about something else, just like with like his back slightly to Roscoe in that way that you treat a student that is like seeking attention.
Roscoe seeking attention?
Silas is normally here for that. But
Well, I suppose it's no surprise, the two of you that have some kinship with Ifrit.
I feel like it would maybe not be the wisest move. Well, maybe, I don't know. I was gonna say, do you think we should ask this Esper of Fire if it can use its power simply to warm us up?
Zed says, well, those of us that are not concerned with making sure our arms are on full display can just wear more clothes.
I'm going to. I just want to know and I won't like it.
has anybody interacted with the sprite since we've met Ifrit?
Not since Zed thinks about it and goes, no, I think we were concerned with leaving. But
would you like
Zed
to
thinks
try
about
it,
it. And
Silas?
the last time Zed reached out to one of these things, he did get zapped in the head pretty hard.
Silas nods and says, well, I will usually reach out to say good night and good morning, so perhaps I will try to extend that connection tonight.
Great. Don't set fire to the ship, Zed says to the room, not making eye contact with anyone.
All right.
And I think in a lack of self-awareness, Agatha side-eyes Roscoe.
You side eye Roscoe and see Roscoe staring directly without any side eye at you.
Oh. Eye roll, different direction, side eyeing no one now.
Right, I think with that, we probably cut to Silas later on.
Yeah.
Would you like to make me a wisdom check? Well, say what you were going to say
Sure.
first.
It's the moment that Charlie died. Jesus
Wow.
Christ.
Okay.
All right.
Everybody in this game can roll good except for me.
Yeah.
Just using
Sorry,
up all
I-
these 20s on talking to the Espers.
Yeah, I forgot to unmute myself whenever I was saying that Silas is like very formal with this attempt to interact with the sprite, just like very deliberate about it, kind of as like a sense of ritual without setting the ship on fire. So no actual lit candles sort of thing, but a very like sets himself up deliberately, smooths out the bedspread where on the bed that he's sitting on first. Examines like where he's seen the sprite part of his hand light up before, stops his like absolutely constant like physical tick of piloting an invisible ship and muttering to himself before reaching out.
Right. Yeah, you feel that connection kind of jump to you. You've sort of been building a rapport, although you haven't gotten a lot of feedback. But now that you knew that previously, did I say that their name was Sprite? Did I say that out loud, or have we just been using that? I
Yes.
can't remember. Okay, I might change it to Sylph, but we could just keep it as Sprite. Yeah, we'll just keep it as Sprite. Actually, never mind. Let me edit.
Ifrit said it was Sprite.
Yes, he did. He did as well.
But
Um,
I
Also
think
have multiple
you
bits,
mentioned
but-
it earlier. I have it in my notes.
Yeah, I probably did. The only reason why I was like thinking that was because I realized that Sylph is the name of the summon traditionally, but I already said Sprite, so that's fine. But you've been talking to Sprite before and not getting as much feedback. But it seems, again, buoyed by the growing strength of the bond, Sprite like leaps to your mind, and there's this very pleasant feeling. It's like a cool spring breeze almost. Like there's the hint of like eucalyptus almost, like that kind of like very fresh smell comes to mind. As they say, hello, Silas.
Silas is like sitting there, like hands on his knees, sitting like butterfly style, eyes closed, and kind of grins at the actual like easy connection this time, and says, "Hello, Sprite."
Yes.
Silas, I don't think Silas had previously heard the like from Sprite itself, its like name, and so kind of nods and just like nods in that empty space and then says, "We connected with Ifrit, and we're told that you might be able to communicate more easily with us now."
Yes, the strength that was taken from me during those experiments has somewhat returned. And thanks to the bond, it's much easier for you to reach out. I can even lend you some of my power beyond just the benefits that the bond provides. By its existence.
When you lend us When you lend us your power, does that risk you any harm?
No. Though it is more difficult, I would say, for certain individuals. There is some measure of personality, or perhaps mentality, something about the bond. Some some of us will find it easier to share our powers with some of you, and some of us will find it harder.
Ifrit and Miss Locke and Roscoe.
Yes, a sort of fiery temperament, perhaps.
Understandable. And from what I know of you so far, you're a little more peaceful. We're seeking the others, and Ifrit gave us locations. What do you know? Gave us locations and elements. What do you know of their personalities and who might they fit with, so that we can effectively release as many of you as possible? And do you think that all of your kind would work with us in the same way?
They say, which of our kin has he spoke about?
Thomas actually kind of pauses for a long moment and says, "You each speak with us. Do you not? And you're empowered by each other. Do you not speak to each other?"
It is difficult at times. Our natures are not in alignment. Espers do not. We are aware of each other and we can feel presences, but we do not converse as such.
So we're the common medium.
A
In that
link.
case, and then he wants to explain what Agatha wrote down, already read over, about the different temperaments or the different elements.
They will explain. Yes, the goddess of ice is. They can seem dispassionate at times, but beneath that, there is a peacefulness, if not a kindness, I would say a peacefulness within them. They are gentle, but not without strength. They are very beautiful, I would say.
Silas kind of smiles at the one Esper calling another beautiful, and says, "Thank you." So not unexpected from how we would conceptualize the elements, if we were to describe their themes.
Yes, we
They-
are reflections in some ways of those things.
If you're reflections, then are you always the same to everyone, or are you different?
We have multitudes, I would say. Sometimes we appear and we do change over time. In perhaps ways more subtle than you do, but
Silas kind of nods and then speaks, not quite sure exactly how this communication passes through, and says, "Okay, I think the other question that Zed had was the locations that these espers that are being removed from their locations, or are they? Oh, I can't phrase it. Hold on, because Zed wanted to know right above board. Zed wanted to know if the espers were basically being kept in the same places where they were attuned to.
Zed was more like wondering if its information was current or if its information was not, but also doesn't ever want to fly blind into an area and be like, "Oh, look, an Imperial facility."
Um. Well, Silas, go ahead and ask your question.
So in that case, I think the question is there any way that you said it's hard for you to communicate with other espers because you're unaligned? Is there a way for you to know of what the circumstances of the espers feel contained or free, what those circumstances are?
There's like a lingering pause, and you slightly worry that you've like lost the connection, and they'll say, "I think that if they are captured, I could tell you. I don't believe that any of our others are currently in the same predicament. But that is not to say that there are not dangers from our capturers in those areas."
If they're not captured and we seek to link ourselves to them as we've linked ourselves to you, this is so like Silas like starts twice before like kind of forcing himself through it to not risk like losing the connection, and says, "Is this a willing choice or the lesser of two evils being linked to us?"
It is not something that I have chosen to do lightly. The lesser of two evils. Curious phrase. It does limit us in certain ways, but it is done of our own volition. The others, they will likely, some of them may join you simply out of the wisdom of seeing what is happening in this world, what you may be able to do to stop it. Others may be more testing. They may wish to have you prove yourselves first. Not all in the manner of threat, but in some way.
Well, I think that is a relief. I'm very grateful for your willingness to limit yourself to help us. I think eventually Silas like stands and goes to like records everything before going to tell the others like there is an update. You can read this. You don't have to listen to me talk.
I would never dream of listening to you talk.
Wow. Did you? Sorry, I think you had asked about more than just. You wanted to know all their personalities, but we kind of got off track. Did you want me to circle back to that? Just to honor.
Absolutely, yeah. I just
Okay.
assumed that it was like I was getting the one answer from the one that they knew about.
No. I think you just asked another question that I didn't. I forgot to look back. So Sprite will describe the Lord of Lightning as wise, imperious, and powerful. But no, I think that's a good description. That's probably how they phrase it.
Got it.
Yeah, particularly honing in on like the wisdom aspect. As far as the the King of the Waters, I think they would, in Sprite's mind, they would say something like, they are perhaps going to be among the more difficult for you, for they are wild and untamed. They belie bounty for those who can master them.
Silas hums and says, yes. None of us number as wild and untamed. Cannot imagine any of our group who would find kinship with the King of the Waters. And that's the sum of ours, right? We know of 5.
4 besides the 2 you have.
Okay.
Sorry.
The-
3. Sorry, 3.
Three.
Yes, 3 besides the 2 you have.
Yeah, okay, exactly. So,
Yeah.
5
My
total.
bad.
Yeah. So yeah. Silas is grateful. I don't think he's gonna directly ask who the Esper thinks would like be connected to most. I think he thinks that's more for them to figure out. So with this information goes on to the others. Ed adds his notes to Miss Locke's conspiracy notes.
There's now
So they
a
are-
compile of notes in the
So Sprite believes them to be uncaptured by the Empire.
They believe they would know if they were captured, and do not believe that any other than Ifrit and themselves were already captured. Though they don't know they weren't, that doesn't mean that it's not dangerous around them, both because of whatever challenges they might present to us for their cooperation, and presumably if we know about them, we've been studying them for this amount of time, the Empire might be on their way. Which we also might want to consider not keeping these notes intact.
Is Silas speaking to like everyone, or do they go to Zed specifically?
If everybody was in like the main hold, that is where Silas will return to. Because everybody needs to know. And so like Silas will like go deliver this information to Asta separately, since Asta has to fly. he's moving, and vice versa.
Well, Zed sleeps, or not Zed. Sorry, Roscoe sleeps in the hold. Basically, I think he'll just kind of nod and follow along with what. But there at the end, it's
Zed will try and reach out to Sprite. Zed does not want to. If Zed finds himself to be bonded to Ifrit, he would find that to be an indictment on his character. So thusly, will not even reach out. I assume it's a wisdom check because it is
Yeah.
always. Oh, actually rolled good.
Team. Yes. You do feel that connection blossoming.
I think Zed just is very like says formally like is like good evening, Sprite.
Yes. Hello. He
Ben says well, the others all have bonds with either you or Ifrit, and I don't believe its temperament matches mine. But I think Zed already kind of gets the vibe that this isn't it either. Like, because the thing hasn't like shimmered the way that the other two have like described and things. It's like, well, I thank you for the information you gave to Silas. It will help us collect your kin.
You are welcome. You are interesting. I can sense something about you that has been changed, and it makes the bond perhaps not work as well. Or differently.
Zed nods, and then I think that in the exact same way that Silas didn't know whether or not Sprite sees the nod, says, okay. Well, I appreciate your time. And kind of in the most like it's him backing out of the connection way possible. Like he doesn't want to engage with whatever Sprite actually meant yet.
Okay. Fair enough.
And he says, coming back to the group, he did this while he was in front of the group. And says, well, I do not have such a bond with Sprite, and I can't imagine I have such a bond with Ifrit.
Silas presents you with the notes on the characters of the others, and then it says, well.
None of these personalities are described as having to be put upon and to herd cats.
Might not have found them yet, but on that, when we arrive at our next destination, it's the Plains of Ice. Yeah. Heading to next, this is going to end up being like a race almost, if the Empire hasn't already got them.
I still think that we should go through the information we got on Project Ifrit.
And I can re-examine the information we have from Sprite's containment and see if there's any hints when we connect the two to what they might be after next. Surely the resources required to contain an Esper mean they can't be acting on all three at once?
Well, depends on the belief the Empire has in this particular endeavor, but I suspect that belief is quite deep. But we may also gain resources from the Resistance, now that we have some actual leverage with which to strike at the Empire.
Also be a good hub for information if
Mm.
the Empire is moving in that direction.
And I have some things at my house that I'd like to pick up. But I'm sorry, I'm feeling quite unwell with any like motions to the movement of the ship. I might retire for the evening.
Silas will kind of indicate the kettle in an offer for you, but not say anything out loud about it.
Zed shakes his head and like reaches into a pocket and pulls out like a couple of pills, which are like the sleeping pills he got on the other ship.
Effective.
So, I'll see you in the morning before we land. But he'll like stop past Asta and check that she has everything she needs and everything before he like ducks into a room to sleep.
All right. I think we will then move on to you all arriving, because I'm kind of assuming this is happening more towards the end of the journey. You begin to set in. There's a very small airship port here. There's like a couple other vessels. Most of them are of a similar size to yours, maybe a little bit bigger. There's no big hulking freighters or battleships or anything in this, like no passenger liners or anything. Mostly like personal vessels, as well as like probably like there's a patrol airship here from the Empire, something a little bit smaller. But you pull in, you kind of have to dust off the registration and stuff. But it's old, but it's been upkept and whatnot. And you find yourself, some of you for the first time in what feels like a very long time, in Valabar. There is like a main street, a little bit dusty, but that's like where there's lots of different kinds of shops, bars, hotels, etc. And then surrounding that are like most of the residential area, and then you can see ranches, as well as a couple farms off in the distance. It has the vibe. This is probably, again, more for Americans who are watching. It has like an East Texas kind of vibe to it. It's like dry cattle country. Not terrible.
This town's like it's a Final Fantasy small town, so Zed just knows everybody here, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And Zed is different upon disembarking the thing.
Sorry,
even when
I said East Texas. I meant West Texas. Not that it matters.
I'm glad you stopped me because I was going to go in a completely different direction with that information.
Yeah.
Like even when he gets off and he's like handing the registration for the ship and stuff over, he's like making small talk like about the family of the guy that is running like the airship thing. Like he's asking how it's going. He's just making up wild like stories about a show that he was playing like in the biggest city to the north, and it's just being a completely different person. But once we all get the registration and stuff and like the docking fees sorted,
Which
He will
what's the
lead.
name of this persona? Which one is this?
This is Zed,
This is the
This is the
Zed
Zed
persona.
persona.
Yes, okay. Yeah.
but not the one that is working
Not
with the Resistance.
Resistance Zed.
This is basically the
No, he
minstrel
said.
Zed.
Yeah. Okay.
This
got
is
it.
the Zed that I pitched the character as that he has never gotten really to be up until this point. But yeah, he's like he leads everybody through the town, and he's if you've seen Hello Dolly, he kind of wanders through this town like Barbara Streisand in Hello Dolly. Like everybody he says hello to, even people that he doesn't know. And he's like humming and all of this, and he's very much like making it noteworthy that he is like coming through. But
All right. People are
if it's
greeting
all right,
you. One of the guys is like, Zed, where are you playing tonight?
oh, I don't know. Whoever offers me the most. That's normally how I do when I come back. And he like pulls his electric dulcimer, which is just like the neck of a dulcimer, and starts to like strum that, and like people will like he'll tell everybody like just spread the word that I need someone to play. But he kind of leads the group to. Is it alright if he just has like a 2-bedroom apartment above one of the like
Yeah.
things in a residential area? It's like it's nicer than it needs to be for Zed, but like not the nicest thing, even like in this little block of houses. But he leads everybody up into it and pulls out a key from a pocket that somehow you've never seen him pull anything out of before. It's like a separate pocket, and dusts
Air pocket.
He like kind of goes to wipe dust off the lock and the doorknob, but there's no dust there because he has someone that cleans it. And unlocks it, and there's like a waft of a really specific kind of flower that's a very like imperial flower. That Roscoe maybe you recognize, but for the people not from the Empire, it's like a very specific scent. And he says, "Well, come in. My house is this." And as soon as he closes the door, the like pleasant, talkative Zed kind of drops away, and he goes, "Well, make yourselves at home. There's 2 bedrooms," and he kind of gestures towards like the back left. The main room has like a couch, quite an old looking chair, but like very well kept. A couple of walls of books and things like that, and then in one of the bookshelves, one of the shelves is completely empty, except for like 4 like soft plushies that do seem even from here to be like covered in a thin layer of dust. There's like a table which has a fresh thing of flowers on it, and a small kitchenette that he would never use. He says, I think it's best I go to the Resistance to make sure that my superior is available. Then I can introduce all of you."
You want to go alone?
Kind of looks around, and then looks at Roscoe and goes, "I'd rather someone here to stop the ransacking of my house." Again, he says to the room.
I was going on. He's currently at the mostly empty bookcase. He's not like jostling it or anything, but he is taking like a metal knuckle and is kind of like gently tapping the back of it. Like, this has to be false. This to be this empty like this.
Oh no! What I meant is that it's full of books except for one shelf.
Okay.
that has,
Okay. Gotcha.
Like not a full amount of stuffed toys. He
Okay.
has a lot of
Then-
books, but yeah, it's not that weird.
The empty bookcases scares me.
Yeah.
Any
So-
particular reason you're worried about ransacking right now?
Just the demeanor of the people that are in my house.
Hmm.
Agatha,
Well, I
you're
wasn't
looking
thinking
around.
about it.
There's not that much to take other than
Yeah, there's not a lot to ransack.
plushies and maybe some books. Like you're
It's
what, you're
mainly
gonna
the
steal
books,
a
to be
chair.
honest. Zed is worried about both Asta and Agatha taking books because he likes his books.
You know, better ransacking might actually just get the dust out of here.
There's not that much dust.
Cloud.
It's just it's not that. I press to digitate away a 1 foot cube of cloudy dusty air.
Asta, I think Asta would
Just-
say like, why don't we just all go now?
Because if we all wander there and my boss isn't there, then there's 5 of us standing around losing money to 2 people that will hustle you all at darts.
This is
Okay.
you.
I mean, we can all go. It
You're
just makes
trying
it
to
easier.
discourage Miss Locke with that.
Well, Wislock doesn't know where it is. I would have thought that the discouraging thing was me saying, hey, I'm going to go talk to my boss by myself to make sure they're available. But, no, we can all go. And Zed, like, gestures to the door to be like, if we all want to go, we can do it.
Silas will settle into how many like you live like your character lives alone, so like there's probably only a couple of chairs, right?
There is a couch. There's enough for, like, 4 people. A, like, 3-seater couch and a nice chair.
Silas will
And there's,
settle-
like, some actual tables. Zed lives alone, but also never really functionally lives here. Like,
Yeah.
that's the other thing. He's never really here.
Silas will kind of dust off the couch a little bit before sitting and relaxing in a go ahead sort of way. Like
I think Roscoe's testing the couch a little bit and is thinking the logistics of bringing this back to the airship because God, this is a lot more comfy than his bed.
But yeah, Zed like will just duck out of the door and head off. It's also he'll say it's not very far. I'll be back in like 10 minutes.
All right, now we have the arbitrary Final Fantasy minigame of the adults trying to prevent Agatha from stealing something or rooting through this place and the 10-minute timer.
There's actually Zed doesn't care so much, but did want to go talk to his boss by himself. But there are some like there's books on that bookshelf that are like Zed's books from school, where like he took his notes and wrote his stuff when he was a student.
Agatha was doing the balancing act of, is this going to be more interesting for me to follow than it is going to be irritating to get lectured about not following? And I think does land on, I want to go through these books and be nosy.
Roscoe will
Zed
see-
has that room.
Roscoe sees Agatha go into his books, and all he will say is, "To be fair, he just said don't take them." I think.
And are you a snitch in addition to a cop?
Are you a thief in addition to a thief?
Thief squared. The greatest.
Lots of good questions. Agatha pulls a book from the shelf and starts going through it.
Okay. While that's happening, Zed, you get to the bar.
I will go in the back. Like go into the bar. and
Yeah,
then
you'll
head
go in
through
the
to
bar.
back.
You'll head through. You know, do your knock. Get
I,
let in.
I give Kieran. I pull out from my pocket a fully like made and like stuffed Imunga plushie, which somehow Zed has made look cute, and it has a little like out of the stony skin that it would have had, has a little crocheted flower like coming out of it. And hands it to Kieran and says, he has to think for a moment. He's like, because he gave one to Kieran for one of his daughters last time, and he says that this is for the other one, but he doesn't remember. Like I don't, as Jack, remember which one was which.
He'll just chuckle. You know, you should really just sell these. You could probably make your living off that.
Oh, you don't think being a courier for the resistance is a lucrative life choice that I've made?
No.
Zed chuckles and says, well, you're right. Is Thrissa available?
Yeah, he nods. Yeah, she's in the back room. Got her at a good time.
Also, before I go in there, I'll let Torrin look after Baku. Is he... Have you heard anything that's happened to my Chocobo?
Thanks for a moment. He says, I've heard it. Maybe that's good. Maybe it's not.
You'll find out. All right, thank you, Kieran. And Zed walks in, and I think exactly like he did probably now 4 months ago, just walks in and sits without even announcing to Thrissa that he's there, and just waits for her to be ready.
Yeah. So as you go into this space, it is again like this kind of, backroom loungy type area with a little bit of an office. At least there's Thorsa is working, it's just got a desk full of papers and whatnot. There's I'm forgetting the other person's name. Torin and whoever else.
Torin and Samira.
Samira, yes. Torin and Samira are playing darts. As usual. Well, the TV is on, just with some news scrolling. It doesn't seem like the train derailment is making headlines, at least for the moment. There's still some notes in there about the explosion that occurred at this point, just over probably a couple weeks ago, just investigations ongoing type thing in Solness. After a moment, Thrissa will kind of look up. So, you want to tell me more fully what happened? Why it took you so long to get back?
I have quite the story for you. But Andrew, do you want to go on break before this continues? Because it's 2:05, and I need to take a break.
Okay, yeah, we can cut to break here. I was gonna cut to break just after this, but that's fine. We'll
I like
be
the
back.
idea that it fades out on Zed saying, "I'll tell you the story," and then
Sure, and then we'll zoom forward. We'll be back. Probably 15 minutes or so. Don't go anywhere. Hello and welcome back to session 10. So you've just recapped to so kind of what has happened to like various levels of what do you mean? Like what are you talking about? How is this
Zed?
possible?
Zed leaves
Did
out
you derail the
nothing.
train? Maybe?
Zed leaves out nothing except for everything that happened at Roscoe's house beyond we went to the Gabon place and got an airship. But otherwise we'll say everything and also be extremely specific about the things that Agatha and Silas and Asta have done.
Why does this child have so much fruit leather?
Yeah, Zed brings up the fruit leather. It's like maybe that was what a power that she got from Sprite. I don't know. I'm not judging her.
Okay. Yeah, she's kind of like leans back in the chair once this back and forth. But we go through the little montage, just the back and forth. Torin has like pulled up a chair and is like sitting on it, you know, the cool guy way, so that the like he's leaning on the front or the back of the chair with his chest.
He gets a second chair so he can Riker into the first chair.
Yeah,
it's like
exactly.
A whole setup. While Thrissa is thinking,
Samira's like
Zed
sitting
does
on the back of a
immediately-
couch.
God, these are such uncool kids. Zed does, as soon as Thrissa is like taking a moment to think, just turn to Torin and say, "How's my chocobo?"
It's great. Hit my finger.
Okay.
He holds up a bandaged finger.
Zed looks at it and just lets the chuckle and says, and like passes him like 5 more gil. No, not 5 gil, like 50 gil, like for the feed and stuff. It says, doesn't fit on the ship, sadly.
Yeah, well, I mean, Bucko's pretty happy here. They'll be all right.
Yeah, it's much less work than he'd been doing before now. Thrissa, do you want me to collect the others? and
Get a
then
bigger
come
ship,
to
I
meet
guess.
you? Oh, you have a spare one?
No, it's your job.
Okay. My job, up until quite recently, was to deliver messages.
Well, it sounds like you got a
Watch you be
promotion.
bad at darts.
Hey, you want to play?
Sure, can I pick a proxy?
Who?
Samira.
Thorso will be like, if you two are done. Yes. Why don't you go get the others, bring them here? Just
Oh,
you know.
I don't suppose you know where the Leviathan is.
Oh, the Esper.
No.
The ship.
The airship. But also, yes, the Esper the Leviathan.
She shakes her head. She'll say, well, the Leviathan had left Solness, I think, shortly before you had. And she kind of like will flip through some notes. It's been in the air for some time, but we don't know where it's going next.
Okay, I'll go get the others.
She'll like slide some papers across though, and like thinking, she'll say, it was in Sarviel before going to Solness for some time. It's been in port in Sarviel a lot. We'd assumed for repairs, but interesting coincidence.
Yes. All right. Zed like gets up and heads back to see how many books are no longer on the bookshelf.
What's the situation at the apartment?
All of the books will be exactly where you left them.
Zed looks over at the bookshelf. Is it less dusty?
Oh, for sure.
Great. He looks at where the dust is not as heavy. Checks to see if he cares about any of those books in particular. And kind of shrugs. Okay.
Silas says Miss Locke tends to be very respectful of people's personal libraries, and that she does return the things she peruses.
Well, as long
I
as
don't
they
know what
get
anyone is
paid.
talking about.
All right. Well,
That
my
was
boss
quite
is
kind.
ready.
It's
you, I
pens
appreciate
to
it.
walk away.
Zed doesn't have any pens in his whole house. Because he keeps all of his pens on him at all times. Well, come along then.
Yeah, you all head back and you find yourselves, for the three of you who this is new to, because Roscoe, you've been here before. It's like a bar. It's like fine. It's not that busy because it's kind of like middle-ish of the day. So there's just like a couple regulars here, the bartender, a server, a guy sitting near the back, near a door in the back that kind of says like employees or whatever. Not Roscoe, sorry. Roscoe, you know this is not Kieran. Yeah, Kieran,
Yes, Kieran.
I can't read my own handwriting sometimes. This is Kieran, the doorman. Keeps watch, make sure the bed people who they don't want to get in don't get in.
So we'll give Kieran a like when he goes into the door.
It's as soon as you pass by, he shakes his head.
Zed is hung back a little bit to shout at the bartender and be like, "Hey, do you want me to play tonight? I can go in anytime you like." Still in that
6 o'clock.
persona. No, I don't like that. 6:30.
7.
All right, I'll do 5:30.
Nods.
Great. And then he'll watch the others try and get past Kieran just to see what happens.
Agatha has popped her hoodie back up. It's very
guess-
important to me.
So you're saying that you want like Roscoe gets in, but you want to hang back so that the other 3 get stopped? Is that what you're planning?
No, Zed just wants to know. Like he's always curious about how like this stuff will happen. He doesn't have an expectation that they'll get stopped, but also he just wants to see while he's like messing with this bartender a bit.
All right. Kieran like looks the other 3 over really, really quickly, like just like. But like he was told that you were going to be coming back with Roscoe and 3 other people, so he's not stopping anybody.
That makes sense. Kieran is no fun. That is something that Zed has always known.
Yeah. He's the bouncer. He's not supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
You all enter into this back room. You kind of have to go down a hallway and a set of stairs to get to this basement level like lounge area. There's a pool table, a few couches, some TVs, a couple work desks set up. And beside you, there's 3 people down here. 2 people playing darts and trying to look cooler than they probably are. And a lady at a desk who's kind of just like, normally you would think she would be quite busy, but she's kind of just watching you all as you walk in and appraising, you would say. She says, hello, Roscoe. It's good to see you again.
Likewise.
Oh, his cover's completely blown. I don't know if you got
Yes, we're aware. It was on the news.
Wasn't much saving that, I don't think.
Right. You know, they're blaming you for the explosion, specifically.
Oh, me.
So
Well, you
it's
and
not
you and several
incorrect.
others, unnamed.
Do they
But,
say that I'm their leader? It's a smile on his face.
That's like,
You-
yeah, that's
you've
actually
been-
important. Did
You've
they-
been branded a traitor. She kind of looks. She kind of looks down at her notes. It hasn't been specified.
Even in a world where they're trying to paint you as a traitor, they don't make you the leader.
Oh, we know the Empire is
Zed just goes and sits down in the exact same chair he always sits in. This is
did Zed? Did Zed came in here with like, oh yeah, also I told them like the full breadth of every single thing that has happened since we left, or
no.
okay, just trying to make sure.
Zed's not like Zed's told the story. Roscoe, you know that Zed gives incredibly detailed reports. Like that's just a thing that Zed does. But the others, who knows?
Yeah, Crystal will kind of move to looking at the others. The three that she's less familiar with. Kind of nods to Asta, but never met, but like is aware. Looks at Silas and Agatha. She'll say, Mr. Orion, I am a little surprised. We did give your name to Zed as a possible source, but can't say I expected to find you here.
Can't say I expected to be here.
And the true wild card, Agatha Locke, completely unforeseen, a name that I had never heard of until today.
Agatha is just scowling from under her hood. The frown deepens when she is addressed.
Krista kind of chuckles as well. Everything I know about you makes me think that you'd be a prime candidate for the resistance, except seemingly for the fact that you don't like anybody telling you what to do whatsoever.
Agatha.
Silas just chuckled.
Agatha doesn't know what to do with that, and like the frown, like she goes, her face goes from like deeply frowning to like puzzling, and then she just scrunches her face back up again, and like tries to like groans and like rolls her eyes as she was, prone to doing. But it is a bit more theatrical and put upon than it normally is, as opposed to like that's her natural reaction.
Right. Thursa kind of nods, and she'll stand at this point, and you see she's like a fairly tanned, like late 30s woman, like fairly attractive, hair put into like a long braid that kind of stretches down, like very long. It's how do I phrase this? It's like a horsetail braid. It's not like massive, but it's not like super thin either. But it's long. It like stretches down to the middle of her back. She'll kind of walk over to kind of be in front of the five of you. You know, like Roscoe and Zed are maybe off to the side. You know, whether you've chosen to sit down or stand. She's gonna say, well, it seems like you already have a plan, so I can't really give orders in this case. And even if I did, I'd probably just tell you to do what you were going to do anyways. But I do have a question for the three of you. And she's going to look at Asta, Silas, and Agatha.
Silas kind of gestures as though to indicate ask away.
How do I know you're not going to get cold feet?
What the fuck?
She shrugs. It's not exactly an easy thing to be doing.
Sure. And how do I know that the sun isn't going to rise tomorrow? That's also not an easy thing. We're already here.
Well, I'm supposed to be suspicious. It's my job.
Miss Locke. She doesn't share your internal perspective of your convictions, only the external perspective of somebody who has never met you.
Well, I must be honest. Apart from general national sympathies, only Silas has real personal reasons to go against the Empire. But they've always been more on the fence. So it's worth asking the question. Just because the Espers trusted you doesn't mean that you're going to help the resistance. If that's even your goal. Is it your goal?
Maybe feel comfortable in the knowledge that we have a shared enemy right now.
She kind of nods. Shared enemy. I can work with that if that's the way you feel.
Zed behind, kind of not behind Roscoe, but in a way that like, because him and Roscoe off to the side, just mounts like right now to Roscoe.
Silas,
Yeah.
Silas kind of ignores this byplay and just says, and what assurances do we have that you are worth our loyalty?
That's a fair question. Well, apart from Zed's word and Roscoe's as well, I suppose, we can offer you supplies, information. I'm happy to treat you like an avalanche that is heading for Imperial territory. I'm just trying to make sure that we're not in the way when the rocks hit.
I have no desire for there to be collateral damage.
And can you say the same about your companion?
Silas takes the moment to look to Agatha, kind of tilts his head, and he's not quite smiling. But Agatha, you've gotten this look a lot before. It's like the look that he gave you, like right before he challenged you to do a particular rope course with more investment than you had done in the past. Like it's like that show me what you've got kind of moment. He'd previously kind of interceded on your behalf with the administration and essentially vouched for you at a particularly rough time in your educational career. And it's the same look. And he turns back after like a very long moment of that and says, I trust that any collateral damage that Miss Locke causes will be done with thorough deliberation over the consequences, despite appearances. And I suspect that the Resistance has had to make its choices in that vein as well.
She nods. She'll go back and sit down. Okay, now that that's out of the way, what do you need? How can we help you? And
We got some a project file from an Imperial facility that we need to go over. We need a space to do that. That's not my apartment.
she
But
will.
we need a computer for that, right? That's a computer. That's like
Yeah, it's like a computer thing. And
we
like
need a computer.
Asta has like, you know, devices, but it's like this particular file is not really something that you can open on that. She'll gesture over to Samira, who will like from a wall, like, you know, like hit a switch. Finally, the hidden switch comes into play. Hit a switch and like pull out a terminal that has like some, it like, you know, flips the wall almost. There's like a large terminal. Like it seems to be quite a powerful computer. And Asta will go over there and start helping them to open up, look at the files.
Zed, if Agatha doesn't walk over to like be part of that, Zed will look at Agatha and be like, "You should
Oh,
go,
go
help
look
them
at the
find what
file.
they need to find."
Agatha is quite excited to get her hands on that information.
Sure. Agatha, why don't you make me an investigation check, and we will say that Asta and Samira will be helping you. They're doing the computery type stuff. That was going to be a 1 for a second. T8. All right. All right. You get a bunch of information. As far as you can tell, there's more research about Esper bonds. It's a little bit more complete than the like the research notes that Stylus had picked up at the facility in Solness. It seems to be, with 28, as you kind of quickly pour out this research, that the Empire, this is kind of like a twofold project. On the one hand, the Empire is trying to create sort of like super soldiers beyond the abilities of what they already have. You see references to like codename programs that you're not familiar with. There's stuff about the like Project Highwind and things like that, which are referenced, but they're not spelled out. It's again such a thing where like if you know what it is already, you can understand how this is what this is talking about and how it's being referenced. So you know that has to do with some kind of like soldier enhancement program. But the details beyond that, you're not sure. This particular program was looking to kind of sort of like the Esper bond, but in a much more forced way. They were basically trying to use like ether crystals broken down into like a fluid solution and then bathing people in that repeatedly, and like upping ether levels in that tank to like almost make like hybrid human espers. It's not dissimilar to the way that monsters are made, but normally that doesn't happen on a living creature. It's usually inanimate material of some kind, or deceased material most often. The result, they talked about like, oh, very promising results. Like we seem to be getting closer. Like we're kind of dialing in on what the subject can take, etc. The end result that they currently have was the tank, the person in the tank that you let out. It's sort of like their success rate was low, but it does mention that there have been successful subjects that have been delivered, is the exact wording that it mentions. They were trying the more kind of general overview of the core project, because these are more like side things that they're doing at the same time. Is that they wanted to see if they could essentially force bond the Esper to a person, to try to kind of replicate the powers that you guys are having. You're not sure how they're aware of this, because it doesn't mention that bit. But in such a way that, like, rather than a portion of the Esper's power being given over, the person in question, like, fully assimilates, sort of becoming a, the words like superhuman are floated around alongside like godlike and demigod, etc. So the end goal basically is that they want to like be able to like grant all of an Esper's powers to a single individual to like make them essentially be a godlike figure. They refer to the process mostly as esperification. However, it does mention that because they kind of view it as like a one-shot thing, their experiments rather with the aetheryte crystals on individuals. This is like their not trial, but sort of like their like proof of concept almost. So it's like we can do this. So if we scale this process up, we can probably use it on a full Esper than just like unintelligent ether, or unmanifested ether is generally the term that they use. It mentions Sprite as well. That it kind of seems to describe like Ifrit is very difficult to work with because it's such like a violent, like strong temperamental entity. But it was like the easiest to find, more or less. They mentioned that they thought that Sprite would be easier because it's sort of like not as volatile. And that they're searching for other subjects that may also be more amenable to the process.
And is there anything about how their search is going?
So there are some notes. They mentioned that they're looking into areas where there are like myths about Espers having been, particularly areas with strong like elemental biases and stuff like that. There's a facility in the far north of the Aedirnian Mountains that It's codenamed Rimehold, but there's not a
Spelling?
ton of rhyme. R-I-M-E hold, spelled as you would expect.
Copy that.
There's not a bunch of specifics on the progress of that particular thing. So they seem to be aware of that, though, and are moving towards that. It also mentions that there are a couple outside of Imperial territory that like the note is like sorry, let me pull up his name. It mentions the chairman of the Gestalt Corporation, saying basically like, tell the chairman to suggest to the emperors that the Divernian Mountains should be a priority for expansion.
Sorry. So was that the same?
No, this is
Shadows Mountains.
This is different.
And you still don't have a name for the chairman of the Gestalt Corporation?
I have a name, and I think it's in my other pair of notes.
In my notes, it says, get the name from Andrew for the chairperson of the...
No,
Gestalt
because I wrote it down.
It's Roscoe Gabont.
Yeah, Roscoe Gabont.
A true twist.
And are the Divernian Mountains, does that ring any bells vis-a-vis where we were looking at for the lightning?
You know those are like one of the mountain ranges in the south, and you think that is where those lightning rods that you remember are located.
Mm-hmm.
Are we waiting for the Gestalt?
Oberdal is his
CEO
name. Chairman
Okay.
Oberdal.
Yeah.
I wrote a whole thing about stuff, and I was like, where? I know it's in here somewhere.
And anything else before?
I misspelled chairman.
Kariman Obredal.
Yeah, okay. I'm trying to think. I think that's the gist of the information that you find here.
Great. And the computers that we are like looking at this on, have these files been properly downloaded onto the Resistance's computer system, or are we remoting in? How is this working?
No, I think they're Asta basically had like a thumb drive. They put the thumb drive in, pulled it off the thumb drive, I think is what happened. And it is physically stored on this computer as far as you are aware.
I don't think the Resistance has a wide-spanning computer network that this is being uploaded to.
Yeah, no.
Um,
I think,
I think
computers
above
in this
board-
world tend to be like one unit. There's no intranet. It is like the stuff on this particular device.
Okay. I think as we're going through this, and like Agatha is like collating all of her information into one place and is sort of like muttering and making sure that everything does get like again the broad strokes does get communicated to the group effectively, does like shift to a side eye to what was her name again? Who was our leader here?
Theresa.
Risk.
Theresa?
Yeah.
With a TH or with a K?
TH.
Theresa. Side eyes her a bit and she goes, so now you have all of the super soldier information.
Mhm.
How do I know I'm not going to become collateral when you start to use it? Turning that question back on her.
Finished.
Why do you think I would use it?
I don't know. I don't know what your goals are other than our shared, interest in seeing the Empire crumble.
She shrugs. She says, well, one, just looking at it, I don't know if I have the funds to do that kind of thing to begin with. Two, we don't have access to the Espers, apart from you all. So there's not a lot of means apart from the research. And three, our connection with each cell isn't as strictly hierarchical as you might want to think. And I know that certainly many of the elements of the Resistance would be very much opposed to this kind of research. You have to understand that there's a large component of the people that I work with that are more explicitly anti-magitech. So I can't promise you that I should say promise you. If I can't convince you that I don't want to do it for moral reasons, those are the reasons why I wouldn't do it for practical ones. If that makes sense.
Or
Also, why don't you two just delete the files after you've finished?
and I'm also happy to do that, but I'm not the one in charge of the files right now. I'm just looking at them.
Crystal will say, it might be valuable to have that information in order to defend against these weapons. But if it helps as a show of trust, I'll leave the decision up to you. She looks at Agatha specifically when she says that.
I don't want to get involved on the decision part, but I am looking at her in that moment, kind of contemplating whether or not, like, given that the system is theirs, and that like easy capitulation to something that should be very much very valuable for a person who is responsible for a very large number of people, if it's like a false choice, right?
Hmm.
And so I'm just kind of like evaluating.
You can make an insight check.
Also, I think Zed just leaves.
I don't know why it's private.
When he suggests you can delete it, and Agus is like, "Well, I'm not in charge," he just leaves. He's like, tired of this.
I apparently rolled it GM style, so I also can't unprivate it.
Hilarious.
I like that.
Yeah, hey, that was very
That's fine with me.
very specifically, Jack. That is because Agatha was not in charge of she was not the one touching the computer. Asta and this other person are.
Sure.
So even if
I mean,
she wanted
Zed
to.
was talking to Asta as well, but I think Zed's just tired in general and has to go and be performative outside. So he's just gonna not be involved in this decision. He's happy for whatever.
Stylus. I think the way that you read the situation is that like Thrissa is like the information is valuable, but she's kind of hedging the bet that like that you all are probably more valuable, and she'd rather garner more trust in that sense. So it's sort
Got
of
it.
like a win-win for her either way, right?
Right, like an investment sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that does at least reframe like Silas's not necessarily loyalties, but kind of faith in this system to not completely wreck them.
At a minimum, like this doesn't come off as like a person that is like mega maniacal and like manipulating you or anything like that.
Yeah, no, I get that. It's more of like that reaffirmation of we have leverage here.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'd ask you not to take this personally. But I am going to delete those files.
Here's a question.
Mhm.
I think that Asta would have copied them over, but they're still on the thumb drive. Do you want to smash that?
No, if
Or
we can
you
hold on to
happy
the
to
thumb
have the
drives for
files?
ourselves.
Okay.
Yeah, there's not an ounce of self-awareness in this girl right now.
Sure. I just wanted to clarify.
Oh, she took extensive notes. Like, the information is still out in the world.
And on that
It's
note,
not on this computer.
Right.
Yeah.
This specific lady.
on that note, if this specific lady
The
looks to be
hypocrisy has not missed Thrissa, but she kind of shrugs as cost of doing business. Yes, Charlie.
in terms of support that the resistance can provide, given that we are not experienced saboteurs of any type, is there some kind of written cipher that you have both available and believe the Empire is unaware of, and also that wouldn't compromise your own security to provide us training in for maintenance of our own records?
Sorry, so you just want like a cipher for your own note-keeping stuff?
Yeah, like we want a cipher that we can use that makes things more secure than plain language, but I'm also acknowledging that like she's probably not going to want to give us a like resistance key cipher, right?
Sure, right. She says, just for your own use or for the purpose of communicating with us?
Either would do. Preferably one that we could communicate with, because we do not have an infinite time to memorize ciphers, but documenting as we go is important, but also not, if we are to be compromised in any way, not exposing that information would be important as well.
Okay. She'll say, I'll have something drawn up before you go.
He nods. Appreciated.
Well, now that the stressful part is over. Feel free to relax here, have a few drinks, chat. And, welcome aboard, I suppose. And she's gonna gesture to Torin. Like, feel free to play darts.
Yeah, Silas is delighted to do that, even if it's like not a skill thing for him. It's an interesting thing to spend time with.
I think while all that had been happening, Roscoe had decided to take a seat initially, and had already gotten himself a drink. And so we'll just gesture with that in response to, let's go kind of relax. Is Agatha still in the room?
I think Agatha doesn't know if she's allowed to leave.
I
mean, there's
So
there's nobody physically blocking the exit.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Sure, and that almost makes it worse, right?
Roscoe, who's kind of just been watching this whole interaction, saw Zed give input and then leave. Kind of to himself, is that probably was a good chance for me to get out of here too, but I was not paying attention well enough. We'll get off the chair and go back towards the door, and we'll look back at whoever is still in the room. If it looks like Agatha is just standing in the center of the room alone by the computer, then we'll look at Agatha, then look at the door that he's standing next to with a raised eyebrow.
And not making eye contact, but understanding this, pauses for a beat, and then slumps behind you, trying to make it look like this was a decision she made and that she's confident in, and not that you said, hey, you could leave if you want.
And I think the only thing Roscoe would say, hearing the slumping footsteps behind, through another drink of his beverage, and probably what he had been thinking the entire time, is just, sometimes things are just things. They are what they are. That dark corner of a room is just a dark corner. An ally is an ally.
Sure. This is all a bit above my head.
You'll
He
get taller.
says not believing that, but,
Okay. Yeah, Roscoe's like, that's fine, you'll get taller.
Definitely, they are fully grown. Definitely, they are not going to get any taller.
If you pull the waist strings so tight.
Silas is going to use this opportunity to just use you as an elbow rest.
Wow.
Whatever.
Is it-
Whatever.
Is it fortuitously 5:34 or something?
I think you've started playing music upstairs, if that
Great.
is your question.
I'm playing a song specifically about cowardly soulless nobles. As they all walk out of the back room.
Okay. All right.
A rollicking kind of song.
I think we're gonna probably wrap up there, and then we'll pick up next time. Maybe doing a little bit of fast forwarding. If you would like to, I'm gonna put this in the chat. People don't forget. If you would like to do any shopping in town,
Warm-fitted winter clothes.
And then you'll also you'll have some other funds and stuff to draw on. But if you want to buy potions, stuff like that, different armor, whatever, etc., feel free to do that. But we're gonna wrap up here, and I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ta-ta.